Hey, good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
I like that. Head of nonsense. Level up games. Doctor Business. Oh, I like that one. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Very good. Should be
Yeah.
fun winding down and getting back to family things and taking it easy for a week or so. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of a task list switch situation. I think is usually how it goes. It's like less stuff on the big computer and more stuff in the house. Like fix a drywall, keep the garage from leaking, run some some new power plugs, that kind of stuff. It is actually fun. It's super fun. Gridfinity.
Good finish.
Oh yeah. From Here Lies Madness. Oh no.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
She
Yeah.
doesn't like the news.
Some of the news this week. Yeah. Well, let's see. The one interesting thing for me, I don't know how, say, extremely popular this would be, but Linden Lab talked about Second Life and the couple of decades that it's been in business here. And they said that they've spent $1.3 billion over the life of Second Life investing into it. And then they've also paid out 1.1 billion to creators over that time. And if you look at those stats, they're very interesting and not so far away from what Roblox has paid out to its players. Now, Roblox has 89 million daily active users now, and Second Life is somewhere around 600,000 at the moment. But Second Life's annual economy, based on people who spend a whole lot more and also trade a whole lot more, is about $650 million a year. Very interesting stats that they've disclosed here, and uh, comparing at some point to Roblox is not very impressive. Like we're talking about like tens of thousands of users who are generating income, but still, um, uh, you know when you look at the comparisons over time, Roblox has, I think, paid out more than $1 million to about 96 of its creators, and Second Life has about 14 who've earned more than a million. So, uh, just kind of interesting trivia, I think, and it shows like this very alternate path, I think, to the metaverse, because what Linden Lab does is they share 90% of the transaction revenue with the creator. And they're only keeping 10% of the transaction. And when you look at something like Roblox, it's more like 27%. So Roblox's sharing of like every dollar in a transaction that comes in with the creators is 27%, whereas, and so 90% is what Linden Lab shares with its creators. Yeah, so. Oh, I mean, for the whole 21 years they've been in business, it's $1.1 billion they've paid out at Second Life. Yeah. So. uh-huh.
I don't think I've
Yep.
been in Second Life for, I don't know, 8 years, maybe
Mm-hmm.
longer. I think the last time I used it was when I first joined government. I was surprised to see that a whole bunch of people in that were education related
Mm-hmm.
across the agencies were having monthly meetings in Second Life. Then had a little classroom set up and all sorts of stuff. I was like, wow, huh. I was just like, wow, I didn't know this existed. But they loved it. Yeah, but I haven't been in there for an age.
Mm. Yeah. So. Mm, there's some other news here with Apple unveiling the most downloaded games of the year
Oh,
for
didn't see that.
2024.
Yeah.
Um, the top Apple Arcade game was NBA 2K 24 Arcade Edition. The next one below that was Snake.io Plus. Third one was Hello Kitty Adventure, or Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Top free iPhone games: Block Blast, Monopoly Go, and Roblox. Um, Top paid iPhone games: Minecraft, Heads Up, and Geometry Dash. And the top free iPad games: Minecraft, Geometry Dash, and Five Nights at Freddy's.
I
Yeah.
can't believe this Snake.io. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're like, it's a. Yeah, right. Yep, yep. So you can either make NBA 2K, which probably costs, multiple tens of millions of dollars, or maybe like, mid single digit millions for the iOS version, or you can make Snake.io plus and end up on the same list from Apple. Way
There's
to go.
games I've never heard of actually. Block Blast is it?
Block Blast.
I don't know what that is, but it's the number one free iPhone game.
I'm gonna find out now.
As far as new games go, like I don't know what the actually I can't figure out from this list what's brand new this year. But
Probably not much.
everything is so familiar that I think brand new games are having trouble breaking into the top downloaded games for sure.
Oh my God, Block Blast. Okay, now I know what this is. My mom plays this game. I didn't realize what it was called. It's like imagine Tetris without gravity. So it's just like a empty square, and you drop Tetris pieces into it. And if you get a row or a column, then it breaks it. I bet it's really fun. It looks great. It looks super simple and probably really addictive.
Yeah. Let's see. More news on the Roblox front here. GameFam has emerged as one of the sort of the biggest game companies on top of Roblox, and they have 5 of the top 15 branded games, including the Sonic game, which is over 1 billion plays. They have Barbie Dreamhouse Tycoon at number 6, Hot Wheels Open World number 10, SpongeBob Simulator number 12, and TMNT Battle Tycoon at 15. So, and these their branded campaigns altogether have generated on Roblox and Fortnite 2.7 billion brand engagements, and people, I guess, they surpassed 45 billion gameplay sessions to date now. So yeah, things are getting pretty big on Roblox, and the brands feel like this is a generation of people that they can't reach any other way except for games, and the games that they play, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, are Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft, right? So you have to be there. Disney, cut that deal with Fortnite and Epic Games for that very reason. That we're not engaging our brands with these young folks, and over time, that's a recipe for disaster, right? That's how brands die. It's when one generation decides, I'm not going to play that stuff our parents played.
Yep, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a fun one. Nintendo's Don James is going to get the AIAS Lifetime Achievement Award at the DICE Awards in February.
Yay.
Yeah. And Don, Don's always sort of behind the scenes person. I don't remember ever doing an interview with Don, but he joined Nintendo in 1981, and he rose up to executive vice president of operations and oversees tons of things at Nintendo of America, and helps with a lot of their sort of compliance with ESRB, and helped create the IDSA, which became the Entertainment Software Association, and helped get the DICE Summit off the ground as well.
Yeah, we always he was already a legend there when I worked there, which was 96 to 2000. Mm-hmm. We called him the VP of getting things done because he was always working on different stuff. Well, yeah, something like that. Yeah, he did. I know he did the E3 booth for a long time. It was a big thing he worked on. But yeah, he's just like had a portfolio of things to do that was like all super important and all kind of done quietly. Appreciate him. So it's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. A bunch of Nintendo people have won this Lifetime Achievement Award. Minoru Arakawa, Howard Lincoln, Satoru Iwata, Genyo Takeda. very, very nice crowd.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. So let's see. DFC Intelligence put out a year-end report. A headline on it that for a story Rachel Kaiser wrote for us was the future games industry will favor two consoles. Um, and interesting prediction then that the third console will start struggling to find its place, I guess. And let's see, they're also predicting that the population of gamers will hit 4 billion people, up from 3.8 billion now by 2027. And most of these are going to be low revenue people. But the top 10% of the spenders in the gamer population will account for 65% of video game revenue in the next few years. So that's interesting. They think hardware revenue spending will hit 120 billion by 2028. They don't say what it is now, but well. And yeah, it's an interesting report. We also had the let's see, that tab decided to crash on me, but we also had the Circana numbers come out this week for game sales. And I'm going to futz around looking for that one for a bit. There was news about the Game Awards, which was that the traffic for live streams, it grew 31% to 154 million live streams.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing. Jeff Keighley's sort of different adjustments, including ahead of the show, making sure that a lot more people were sharing the live stream, the sort of co-publishing or co-sharing of the stream in places like China grew dramatically, and so they beat last year's number, which was 118 million, which is about where the Super Bowl was last year. And Joost van Drunen, he patched together a chart of all of the different award shows, and the views for the Game Awards are about 9 times as big as the Oscars now. So that's interesting context, and pretty amazing achievement on the part of Mr. Keighley there. And
I'm hesitant to believe that, but I like the numbers. But do those numbers for the Oscars include online streams? It kind of sounds like it might be broadcast numbers.
Yeah, I am not entirely sure exactly what Yoast was comparing there.
I thought it was total.
Yeah, I do think that it's sort of a commonly held belief that it's bigger than the Oscars now, but I don't know exactly what numbers they're talking about here on the Oscars side.
It would make me happy. It certainly deserves to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fixed show, protected the stage. Nobody rushed the stage this year. Keighley also let people give their speeches for more than 30 seconds before the music started playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's good.
You're gonna need to do the little split off that the Oscars did with the Visual Effects Society to have like the awards before the awards, so that the show isn't 5 hours long.
Yeah, well, we don't mind it taking a little longer. We got to see a bunch of awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely good news there. Let's see. V Games is a fund for game venture capital based in Israel, and they raised their third fund now this week. Announced it, and they raised $142 million in that third fund to invest in game companies. And previously, and so that if a venture capital company raises another fund, that means that it had good enough returns to attract limited partners again to invest into their own fund. So the previous funds were 60 million in 2020 and 141 million in 2021. So the fact that they can still do that, that means they're going to be a big sort of investor on an ongoing basis for the future, but also that they had good payouts from the previous funds, and one of their companies that they sold or that they had invested in was Superplay, and Playtika came in and acquired them for up to $1.95 billion. And then Playtika also bought In-Play Labs for up to $300 million. So those two investments alone were probably enough to make their limited partners very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, it's very encouraging to see that game investment is going to continue. And I've written about multiple other funds that are in this range. Big Time, one of the blockchain game studios that's had a successful blockchain game, they launched a $150 million open loot fund for Web3 games. And then let's see, V Games, a couple other. There's a fund for Abu Dhabi games in the United Arab Emirates. They raised $150 million to invest in startups that will start up in their Abu Dhabi gaming hub. So fairly healthy investment activity happening ahead of 2025. And I think that means that the money is probably going to, it's going to start flowing in a better way. There are things that are improving, like inflation is dropping, interest rates are dropping. And so the alternative use for your money is not as good as investing in venture capital anymore. So I think the national PitchBook also came out with a report this week.
Right.
And they monitor all investments, venture capital investments that happen around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for the U.S. in particular, they predict that 2025 is going to be a stronger year for venture capital investments. They also think there's going to be more exits. There's going to be a return of IPOs. So, and the way I've had it explained to me, I think with the U.S. presidential election results being what they are, there are certain sectors that are quite bullish now, right? So like Bitcoin has been rising, and it's been rising ever since the election, and people believe that crypto regulation is going to be less severe than it was under the Biden administration. Yeah. And that gives those folks reason to reinvest into crypto and reinvest into Web3 games and all that. And so that is the kind of thing that leads to more economic activity and things like IPOs. The same on just the general gaming as well. If people are optimistic, which is a window that could last for logically maybe 6 months or so for any administration, then then you
reality
can expect
hits.
more investment. Yeah, reality is that if we have things like tariffs starting on day one, this is going to be a shock to the economy.
It
right?
sure will.
So,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
With tariffs, we're not paying for them. So
a government shutdown would also be a shock to the economy, and so
yes,
the Fed also, they cut interest rates again, and they said that this is probably our last rate cut, and so they caused the stock market to just plummet
Right.
after they made that statement. So,
but I mean, and that's where it sits right now. Let's get into January. But going back to the discussion around, more VC money coming in and everything, I think that's great, right? More coming in, money coming to fund stuff. One of the things that's always difficult, when we're talking about money, especially when, people are trying to survive and build those games, it's also making sure like the right money is coming in, that they're not over-investing in places that really don't have a chance of winning, or if it's hyper exuberant, right, in terms of getting on a hype train but not knowing the destination of the train, right? So, we want to see that money coming in, but the caution there is invest in the long term for the things that can make money and stay, because when collapses happen, it tends to create this slump, right, of investment, and then it sets an industry or a segment back several years. A big one example of that, right, is VR. And we've watched VR go through these massive like investment hype cycles and then down. And what winds up happening is the temperature for it completely cools off until there's some other sort of breakthrough tech, versus putting money in to keep the evolution, right, and to keep innovation going. So it's, I'm not a financial planner and do not take my financial advice for sure, but it just, looking at those historical patterns makes you go.
Interesting thing about V games is that they're just investing in games, right? They're
Love it.
And game studios. Another one a month ago, Play Ventures raised $140 million. And they're also really almost exclusively investing in what they see as quality games.
Right, Griffin Gaming Partners too. Same, right?
Yeah.
All great firms.
Yeah. So there's plenty of money then available for just, I wouldn't say plenty of money, but there's money available for investing into anyone who's got a great idea for a game, and regardless of some of the trends about things like AI or blockchain or metaverse or what.
Yeah. Hey, I want to take a pause since I figured out all this tech on the fly here, because I have to do it all myself. But I want to go back to something Mark said earlier and show you something. So we're talking about, great games and, or these games like the .io type of games that it's like, wow, you can, go put money in and build this big ass thing, or do a .io game and kind of get out there. I did a post on LinkedIn early in the week about a conversation that I had flying back from Las Vegas to the DC area with a flight attendant who was sat next to me during the flight. And I had a little Game Boy type of device that kind of fell out of my bag while I was jostling stuff around. She was like, "Oh, is that a Game Boy?" And I was like, "No, but it plays all these different types of games." And then it turned into this 4-hour conversation where she was talking about memories she had with her father going to get their first Famicom and like getting on the train and getting it, reading the box all the way home and all that stuff. And then she was asking me, "Oh, do you remember these things like watermelon game?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And so she fired up her phone and a browser, and in the browser, she's like, "Oh, this is the watermelon game at Suka." So she's like, "You basically just have to drop these fruit, right, in different areas to go ahead and grow them to make a watermelon, and it's all physics based." I'm like, "Oh, it's like Puyo Puyo." And she's like, "Yes, do you know Puyo Puyo?" And we sat there playing this game, for like 20 minutes together. And it's so simple. It didn't require me, downloading the game. It's just available for me to play on the browser. I'm mirroring it right now off of my phone.
Nice.
into our live stream here. And the thing is, you go, okay, it's simple and so on and so forth. Yin Chen here says in the chat, I've played this to the end. All right. Yes. And it's really, really cool. But again, it still goes to stand that the platform is, depending on the type of game, sure, it's going to have a bearing on what you do. But great games come in all sizes. They come in all different formats. And for me, it's all about friction, right? Being able, as I'm talking to you right now and still playing this game, it was about being able to jump in at a moment's notice. There was there was nothing to download. There was nothing even really to teach. It just kind of happened, right? So IO games, awesome. Watermelon game, awesome. New Indiana Jones game, awesome, right? Video games are just awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And HTML5, yeah, baby.
Exactly.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, my story on my top 10 favorite games now dropped.
Yes,
and,
I'm going to go fire that up right now here on the browser so we can follow along.
Let's see. Where is it? Okay.
Let's see. EA Sports College Football 25. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and...
For some reason, my main image dropped out. I got to fix that.
Okay, yes. So you see, Dean
let's see. So the number one game, which I had actually already said when I did the review this week, was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I was not expecting this to actually be my favorite game. In fact, I was sort of expecting, this is probably going to be another one of kind of the so-so Indiana Jones games, right? And they've had this long history of just sort of doing fan service, but not really doing too much more than that. And there were 21 games for Indiana Jones that came out before this one, and I did not remember any of them, right? And so expectations were low, but this one has I think enough of the combination of things like story and charm, sense of humor, action, fun things to do with your tools, whether it's the camera or the whip, and you can sort of traverse places in a way that's more fun than always climbing upward in something like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, right? And so just when you think that, I guess, the story is about to hit its end, and that they have their sort of big sort of set piece kind of scene, then it sort of actually breaks open into another piece of the story that goes on for a while, and then the story gets better, the conspiracy gets wider, and so they exceed your expectations. In so many ways, and so I think that's why it's
Dean, look, I've got your review up here now. Your list goes live 10 a.m. Pacific or 10 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, it's live now.
Okay, all right. But this is your this was your review, and I love how you kind of said, when I first started playing the game, I wasn't impressed that the first scene had to replaying the very beginning tempo raiding scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I suppose the devs did only with that because they realized most people, among prospective gamers, hadn't seen that movie. And then you basically just like, boy, was I wrong. And you just jump into it. Right? And I think I felt that, not that I didn't feel disappointed about it. I went, with all the Indiana Jones games that I played over the years, I've never had the chance to start here or experience this, right? And it's a showcase of the engine and all those other sorts of things. So I think we discussed last week that my old ass 1080 Founders Edition card, it said you cannot play this game because it doesn't do RTX. And so I said, I really need an RTX card for Christmas. So I've been shaking boxes, and I think I found one. So we'll see. So,
I'm surprised you can't turn the ray tracing features off. That's
when it just said it said, "Fool, you can't play this." So the way I started to taste it was streaming on Xbox.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
While my
That's
son
good
had
too.
his Xbox away at school, I'm like, oh, well, I have access to the account and was able to start streaming it. And I was like, I'll just wait for that RTX card. But yeah, very cool. All right, I'm
That's
trying to
funny.
find your list here, Dean, your article.
Yeah, I can't find it either.
Oh, let me share it with you guys here. And
Yeah, it is
our
not
chat.
popping up here on the site.
yeah, that's,
Also, I know for people that joined us at the beginning for about 20 minutes, my mic was off. So Dean and Mark could hear me.
Oh,
and,
no.
and, and they could hear you. They could hear both of you guys. But
Yikes.
yeah, you didn't need to hear me because I wasn't really providing much apart from tomfoolery. So, but we're good now.
Here's a little insider thing about WordPress is that it's, you know, like I load up all these sort of meta details into it, and then it does some kind of refresh, and then it drops them all. And so that's what's happened here. I'm updating the list now, and you'll be able to find it. But yeah, like the GamesBeat channel was not marked, and the photo had the main image dropped out. So anyway, I'm refreshing it now, and now
here we
now
go.
it's there.
Now we have it. My favorite games of 2024. All right, that is a good place to be. Let's go ahead and jump back in there. So many games, so little time. Yes, Dean. All right, let's jump down. Do we want to just quickly comment on there? Would love your.
Oh yeah, sure. Like
run,
this
run 10. Run
number
10, right?
number 10 was Unity of. Wait, which one did I switch to?
Unity of Command 2 Berlin.
Unity of Command 2. Yeah, I played this game for like 80 hours this year, and so it's actually not a new game. It's like actually 5 years old. But they did issue a new DLC this year where you fight the final battle as the Russians take Berlin, and it's a strategy game, you know, hexagon, so sort of traditional style war game, and it's just very well done. It has very good sort of supply chain rules for you know what happens when you surround other enemies and things like that. So it's just a very well done war game, and now you can basically play it across 250 battles of World War II. And they finally finished this year with the launch of their Berlin
that's a lot
add-on.
of battles.
Yeah, and then I played this game Total Battle on my phone. I'm part of a clan. It's your I don't know, typical 4X game. Homeworld 3 for me, I liked it because it was like the only RTS I got to play this year. So a lot of people were pretty harsh on the reviews of Homeworld 3. You know, some of them didn't like all the narrative cutscenes that they put in to supply their story. But you know, it's kind of like playing those the massive starship battle at the end of Return of the Jedi in 3D. With huge fleets of spaceships, and so that's why I like it. Flight Sim was on there. They're getting to be pretty incredible with like 4,000 times more detail on the ground than the 2020 game. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 could have been a game of the year, I thought, but it was pretty short, and so. You know, it wasn't quite as big a saga as the original Hellblade.
Right.
You know, games don't have to be long, but you know, this is a particular game where, you know, it fell so far short of the original experience that you know, could have been better. But they always do this fantastic job with the audio in this game, where Senwa has psychosis and she hears voices in her head, and with 3D audio, those voices really just sort of, you know, have this really resonating effect.
Yeah, that reminds me of like what was it? Sanity's Requiem. What was the name of the game on the N64? Was done by Dennis Dyack and his team, where it was like that you'd see like the volume bar, like you'd be playing the game, all of a sudden it would show you like green word, volume, and all those little green bars, and then you'd see them going down. The audio would go down. You're like, wait, why is my TV, volume going down? It's not. It was the game doing it, So they added all these little fourth wall breaking, sort of reaching out type of things, and positional audio too, right? So, yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah,
and Ninja Theory is awesome. I mean, they're an incredible developer. Always do a good job.
Yeah, number 4, I had Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2.
Well, you had Stalker, right? Heart of Chernobyl.
Oh, sorry, I skipped Stalker. Yeah, Stalker 2. Kind of fairly horrifying game, but not for the faint of heart. But going into the zone and risking your life to get some loot, and then trying to get away from the bad humans there, as well as the monsters that have been spawned in the Chernobyl radiation zone. Very sort of visceral experience of the shooter.
I'm gathering a theme here of your content, Dean. This holiday season, Dean is going to be playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure for like 2 weeks. It's like that sorbet palate cleanser for your brain.
Yeah. So there's no happy stuff here. The happiest you can get is shooting Nazis in
there you go.
Indiana Jones, right? Let's see. The Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 was always interesting because way back when Space Marine came out, I had this brilliant thought, I'm just going to sort of, not get too excited about this because I've already played Gears of War and this looks exactly like it. Well, of course, all the Warhammer fans came out and said, did you know that Space Marine and Warhammer came out many, many years before Gears of War, and Gears of War copied us, right? So you have to do that, but like as a quality video game experience, Gears of War preceded the debut of Space Marine, right? And so I was just trying to make that point, but no, fans
have to bring
fans
Mr.
thought I was an ass for doing that, right?
We're gonna have to bring Mr. Blazinski on in 2025 to have that discussion for sure.
Yeah. But Space Marine 2, especially in co-op mode, is a fantastic game where it's using the World War Z engine, which allows swarms and swarms of monsters to come after you, and so you're fighting back to back a lot of the time, just trying to sort of empty your load of ammunition into all of the beasts that are coming at you. And it's pretty intense. But Helldivers 2, not so different from that, but you're just a squad of 4 sort of dropping into totally unknown places and looking for some loot, doing some missions, while the monsters figure out you've landed and they're coming after you, the monsters and the robots. So Helldivers 2 is like endless fun, lots of upgrading you can do. That's number 3. Number 2 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. No surprise for me there, but this was a special year for Call of Duty where Treyarch and Raven had 4 years to complete this game instead of the usual 3. They rotate through their studios, and normally every 3 years one studio's turn comes up, but for different reasons on delays and other things, this game got better treatment. It had more time to get perfected, and so the single player story is very good. Black Ops is always pretty good with its narratives. The multiplayer is outstanding as well. And sometimes what you have to do is you have to just sort of level up a gun in multiplayer, get competent at it. Then you can have fun and really go to town mowing down all of your enemies. But they nerf the guns, and then you just have to toss them aside and start leveling up something else. And that's kind of a waste of time. Whereas in this one, you don't have to do that so much. You get a gun, you like it, and you level it up, and then you can enjoy it. And that it's fun. Zombies is also quite a fun experience. And then they have a
what
new,
you're saying,
new
Dean,
version of
basically
Warzone as well.
is in the previous game, they were basically using the Breath of the Wild mechanic of, you have this thing for a little while, and now it's worthless. So go find another tool or item.
Your thing broke or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the tools in the game. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, sorry. I'll call it joke terrible.
Yeah. And the multiplayer maps, I think, are really good as well. So
awesome.
And then we get to number one, Indiana Jones.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so excited to play through this game. It looks so amazing, and it's going to be the best Indiana Jones game since the awesome adventure games from LucasArts. Right?
So you actually remember them, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whereas I did not.
Oh no, they were Fate of Atlantis and Last Crusade, of course. Both of those games were amazing back in the day. They're amazing now. I mean, and funny and really creative, really, really awesome. Obviously not, the fidelity of this, but hey, I can't wait to play through it. It looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let's see. One more very interesting thing this week was that let's see, on December 6th at the PC Gaming Show, Brendan Green got to show off what he's been doing for the past 5 years, and it's extremely ambitious set of games. One's like a single-player game he calls Prologue that's going to drop in the middle of next year. Another is called Preface, which will be a game that can generate maps that are the size of the Earth. And then third project is his major, not an MMO, but really sort of a world where people can make their own games within this Earth-sized planet. And they're generating the terrain on the fly with machine learning. And so they've made enough progress to now announce the schedule for these things. And I got to interview Brendan about this and ran the story this morning. And it's an ungodly amount of ambition.
How much funding do they have?
So Brendan did not need funding so much. He does have backers here, but I don't think he's talking much about them. But he's the creator of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, and PUBG sold 80 million copies, and it disrupted Call of Duty back in 2017. And Call of Duty had to create Warzone, right, in its response. And they stole enough of the market for Krafton, the company that he worked with to do PUBG, to go public. And they went public at something like a $25 billion value. And so Brendan Green has all the money he needs.
Okay. 3 games is a lot.
Unless he's blown it on a bunch of yachts or something like that. I think he can fund this thing for right. On his own, right, for a while. He does think that this plan is going to play out over 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
So
that's like black and white or Spore level ambition.
By Preface and Project Artemis, the second and third games, he's going to be working with his own game engine. And for now, for Prologue, they're using Unreal Engine 5. So they're going to make that switch, and that'll be interesting.
Watch the space.
Sorry about that. We also had LinkedIn just decided to crash the stream. So I let people know to come on over to YouTube.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. It's folks, LinkedIn's not the greatest platform for doing this on.
super awesome.
We're gonna
Yeah.
in 2025. We got to figure out a plan to get people funneled over to
We do.
to
We'll work
YouTube.
on
But we'll have more on that. We'll have more on that later. So we're just gonna keep it going, and I can always re-upload this back to LinkedIn
Yeah.
to finish that out.
What did you guys think of? Wait, was this week or last week? Maybe this was last week. The Chris Barrett Bungie thing. I guess that was last week. Did we talk about
that was dropped on the day of the Game Awards.
Yeah, we did. We did talk about that.
We did a story on that, extensive one, and people were very interested in reading about that. I think partly because he was throwing in a lot of sort of insiderish view of how Bungie operated, so going beyond just his one particular lawsuit. So Barrett sued Bungie and Sony last week, alleging that they fired him after a Me Too investigation because they didn't want to pay him a $45 million payout that he was entitled to because of the Sony acquisition of Bungie, and that this was sort of like a sham reason for firing him. Now, I guess there's always two sides to any kind of story here. Those are his allegations. There was a Bloomberg story where they interviewed a number of people, including some women who said that some of the text messages he sent crossed that line of professional versus personal. And so now Barrett said that there was bad behavior at Bungie, and it was very frequent, and he detailed a lot of the things that happened there, and but he said he did not sort of partake in them, and that there were others who were engaged in bad behavior. So I think it's hard to draw any conclusions for now. We'll see what happens in court, I would say, and yet there's just a lot of interesting detail in this lawsuit, like the terms of the payout for a senior kind of not founder, but early employee who helped them make various kinds of games like Myth 2 and Marathon, Halo, etc., and the kind of compensation level that person gets decades down the road.
Well, it's interesting. You're, when you're talking about, first, far be it from us to comment or speculate in terms of what happened, right? Like you said, there's two sides to both. So, I have no comment there. But I was listening to Jason Schreier on Adam. What's his name? The guy Adam Ruins Everything. And so he was doing a podcast with them, and they were talking about the early days of Blizzard and talking about, what it was like during those early days where the apartment buildings close to the office were called like the Blizzard campus. Is how they referred to them. And, people's lives got kind of their personal, their professional lives kind of got conflated, and it was a bunch of young dudes that got together to do this. And while there were some women that were in the space, the behavior wasn't always the best, but it was kind of indicative of the culture and the time. And Jason was also talking a bit about everybody needed to grow up, a bit, right? And which is, the challenge in any industry and that kind of stuff. So I won't, add further comment there. But they said, for the many things, that were that were good about the environment, there were also things, that weren't as, that weren't that were just shit, right? But that's not just in games. We see that in every industry. again, it's not making excuse for anybody's behavior because I don't know. I wasn't there. But like you said, there are two sides to all of this, and chaos loves a vacuum, and so when you have a change in control and command of something, there's opportunity to maybe not have to pay this, or maybe to let people go, and so. In the bios,
interesting.
I would say, Dean, all of that to say that as we read this stuff, these are people and their lives, and they have to go back and continue living their lives. So, read it with with that balance of there are two sides to this, and we don't know all of the details. So, bring the temperature down on both both sides, I guess. Again, not defending anybody, just. I always try to be critical about it for myself, right? Like, check my own biases as I'm reading those things.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing that say Barrett brings up in the lawsuit is that the Me Too things were happening in 2022 and 2023. The allegation surfaced, nothing happens. In 2024, March or so, Sony. Conducts an investigation into allegations against Barrett, and fires him at that time, for those reasons. So why wait a year? Why wait a couple of years to actually do the investigation?
Right.
And Barrett's claim is that this is because their payments were coming up, because the transaction around Sony buying Bungie had closed, and they just didn't want to pay it at a time when they were laying off hundreds and hundreds of Bungie people. Right? Yeah. And so I think that's some of the context that he found to be peculiar, which is why did they wait so long before they investigated and concluded this, right? And done it so quickly, that it happened while he was on a leave, right? So, that's part of the lawsuit, and some interesting, I guess, circumstances around why the firing happened.
Yeah. Well, all right. Listen, before we get out of here, I know we're running right up against the edge. I have a few more minutes if you guys do too. Mark, any big news stories that's popped into your field of view for this past week that you would like to bring up?
The only thing that's a little stuck in my craw is this one thing I saw this morning about members of Tencent who were on the board of directors of Epic Games stepping down. I don't know anything about the situation, but I just really am frustrated by how everybody is trumping up the idea that we should be scared of China, and that anybody who's got relationships with China or know people in China or do business with China or blah, 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 that it's something we all need to be very hyper vigilant and scared about. And
for an antitrust reason, which is very odd for the government to care about something like two board members on a company's board like Epic Games, where Tencent does not have majority control, right? Tim Sweeney has majority control. So, what can you accomplish with those two board members in some kind of antitrust situation? I can't see it as well, right? This is not like buying the biggest company in the whole industry or something like that. This is more like unseen influence that one company has over many companies, and it's usually always only a minority position, and so it's very hard I think to build any kind of antitrust case against anybody.
Sure. Also, I mean, all you need to do, if somebody needs to, just go take a little bit of a dig into who runs Epic. Like, right? Tim is like, yep, all of this will be under advisement. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to your point, I mean, this is where, the money comes in. This is a global industry. This is a global medium. And, every country plays in it. And if there's economic opportunity in different countries, we should be expected to play in all of them. Not everything, right, is scary, and not everything is nefarious and this and that, right? So,
And
yeah,
I'm afraid
that
I
is
do
frustrating.
have to drop. I have to go off to a call.
All right, well, you go
but-
off for a call. Mark, if you can hang up for a few more minutes, let's
Yep.
talk about the stuff that we're playing. We already know what Dean's playing
Yeah.
because he gave us a top 10 list
my God.
of everything that he's doing.
It's been the Dean show today.
Now I'm going to make my
Anyway,
own top 10
We,
list.
we,
Thanks
we,
much,
we are
guys.
happy to do that. And, buddy, hey, happy holidays to you and your
Yeah.
family. Have a safe and peaceful one, and then we'll see you on the next one if you're going to be around to wrap it up for the year. So, thanks,
Bye,
Dean.
everybody.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. All right, and look at that. We're back with just the two
Look
of
at
us
that
here.
smooth
Yay!
animation.
Look at that,
That's
exactly,
what I
right?
noticed.
This is
That
how
was
we're
awesome.
amping up the professionalism of this thing. Not in terms of tech, not in terms of personalities, because we are, So a good, happy game, right, that I loved the story of here was Agave Games raises $18 million in funding to expand Find the Cat
Wow.
mobile tile. $18 million for a
I'm
Find
like,
the
that's
Cat
amazing, comma, what is that game? And is it awesome? And should I play it? Is it
game.
like
It is
a...
literally, you need to find the cat in these drawings that are basically black and white pencil sketch, and when you
got
touch them,
it.
they colored, right?
Yep,
and
yep,
I
yep,
played a
yep.
similar one early. What did they say here? Agave Game Studios said in a statement, "This investment allows us to double down and find the cat's success while exploring new ideas where we define casual puzzle gaming. We're excited to take our studio to the next level by expanding our team and portfolio with games that sets new standards within established genres." So I was playing this game where it was like different eras of arcades. So it was like a 1980s arcade, and you had to find all the cats hidden in the arcade.
Well, that sounds awesome.
And it was great. I'm like, oh yes. Of course, all of the games in the arcade were, wordplay on real games, like, Mortal, like Cat Bat or something like that. So all of them are kind of like that, which was really, really good.
Yeah.
And we had some people that just popped into the
look at
chat
this.
here too.
That's
I
so
saw
cool.
Mr. Rick Neal. Yay! We have
this
Yinchin
game looks
here
awesome.
and Jeff Hanna. Hey,
love it.
gang. So yeah, I thought that was really cool that this company raised $18 million on the back of
Yeah,
Find the
good
Cat.
job.
I've downloaded it and I'm going to start playing. So
Yeah,
I thought that
more
was neat.
casual puzzle stuff.
Yes,
Very
yes.
cool. Yeah, that's a good
Cozy
call-out.
genre games, right? Those are
Yeah,
really
I
good.
love it.
So what are you playing? What do you apart from the to-do list that you have set for yourself over the break? What are you going to be
Yeah,
doing?
I mean, now I'm gonna go try to do a top 10 of like my kind of games that'll be probably no overlap with Dean's. It'll be more like cozy and puzzle and education and language learning.
Yeah. Well, when I saw
Just for
Dean's
fun.
stuff, I was just like,
that's
oh my
amazing.
goodness, Warhammer,
God.
Call it. I was like, oh my
Now I
goodness.
do want to go play some of those though. I was like, oh, I totally forgot that one. I forgot that one. Yeah, I
I was gonna
enjoy
have to
those
give
too,
Dean. I'm just gonna give Dean a hug when I see him.
but- I know, right?
It's okay, buddy.
Or some body armor. Is your Santa Claus body armor for Christmas?
That's right. That's right.
I'm playing, actually, well, two things. So what I've been playing around with has been the Netflix game, Squid Games. Netflix game.
Oh yeah, tell us.
Which
Tell us
is
about
really
it.
good. I'm really surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. when people
Pleasantly
make great
surprised,
games, but
let's say.
I love seeing licensed games that are done so well. And this is so think if you haven't watched Squid Games, you're gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. If you have watched Squid Games, this game is a game version of Squid Games. You log in, you get teamed up with 31 other people, so 32 people roll into one of the levels of Squid Games, and you have to get out the other side. So like my first time playing, I immediately got dropped into red light, green light with that giant doll that turns around and shoots anybody it sees. So you've got 5 minutes
that
or
giant
something.
creepy ass doll.
The giant creepy doll, you've got a limited amount of time to get across the finish line, and you have to, every time it turns around, you have to stop moving. But of course, there are other people playing, and they will shove you, and they will hit you, which is hilarious. So 16 people come out the other side, and then you go on to another one. And so I haven't gotten very far. I've played it a few times, and it's really fun. My only dismay about it is that it's a glass game, so I have it on the iPad, and it's virtual controls.
How do you
So
like
it has
that? How do you like
I
the
hate
virtual controls? Yeah, me too.
I hate it. They make my fingers hurt.
Yeah.
Or my thumb hurt.
Yeah, they make
And
the
they're
pads
also
of
they
your
just
fingers
don't feel
hurt.
good. Yeah.
Right?
So I don't play it very much. So I'll get in there and play. I was looking the other day to see if I could find a way to do controller on it, but I didn't see an easy way. But I will continue to dork around with it a little bit. And they have a really nice. It is super well instrumented with like a meta game of earning money and buying. Like a baseball bat, so you can shove people around,
Right.
Different characters, different outfits, and all that sort of stuff. All that stuff, which is super grabby. I was immediately like, oh, I got to play again so I can get that 1,000 so I can go buy the little box, whatever.
Nice.
All that
so
normal
they-
stuff, but
so
it's
they
nicely
have
done.
A really good engagement loop is what you're
It
saying.
is super engaging. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Make sure
recommend that
you
one.
accelerate that revenue flywheel. We're going to use
Yep.
all the marketing tools and business tools.
I know, but
Terminology,
it's
rather.
it's super well designed. The other thing I was playing, I just want to mention briefly for fun, is Portal. I played yesterday a bunch of Portal.
What?
Portal 1. Yeah, so a friend of mine here in Seattle. We're having a little bit of a learning games renaissance with some funding from Washington State Department of Commerce. And somebody in the community was like, let's start meeting up once a month and we'll pick a game and we'll get together, like a book club for games. And we'll talk about how to use it in learning or if it's a learning game or whatever. So we did that. He chose Portal. And so everybody downloaded Portal and we logged in last night. And I was, surprised again how the beginning levels of Portal are so well designed.
Yes.
Just like, it's clearly like, play tested and iterated on numerous times to like
Ad infinitum.
teach you things. Yeah, it's so well done. There's developer commentary in there, which I haven't turned on yet, but I need to.
You've never done that?
No, I did it in Half-Life 2, I think, but I don't know if I've ever done Portal, or it's been so long that I've forgotten
So
about it.
I won't spoil a lot of it for you, but like in the beginning, they start to explain like, the facility looks like people were there just momentarily, like right before you emerged. And so, chairs are spun the wrong way, or like, there was things that kind of evacuated. And then they talk about how they use lighting to guide you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. All of the psychology that goes into that game is really tremendous.
So it
but
makes it
here's
classic.
my question for you. What was the precursor to Portal called? Do you know?
Is it Narbacular Drop or something like that? It's Kim Swift's game.
Oh my goodness, dude, you're one of the only people I know that would have gotten that right. So for those of you that don't know, Narbacular Drop was a
Nice
student
job.
project. And do you remember the name of the protagonist?
Oh, that one I'm gonna miss. I know it
Princess
was
No Knees. She didn't have knees. That's why she couldn't jump. And so you had to use
Oh my
portals to
God.
traverse the environment.
No
Princess
way.
No
Oh.
Knees and Narbacular Drop.
That is hilarious.
And that game as a student game too, incredibly well crafted.
Yeah.
Right, as an experience. I really enjoyed that. And I discovered it after Portal, so I was like, oh, okay. They've got
Nice,
everything in
nice.
it,
The DigiPen, man, the DigiPen just
Yeah.
they crank out so many great
Amazing.
students and games, and love that place.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Oh, well,
That's
really cool that you've been playing
so that's
Portal.
what I've been doing. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do for the next time, but if anybody listening to this ever is interested in joining the Learning Games Book Club, we were talking about maybe doing Dragon Box Algebra next because it's such a classic. But I'm gonna let them decide. It's his group. He can decide what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's see. What have I been playing? Well, tasting, right, the new Indiana Jones game. But like I said, after doing some cloud streaming with it, I was like, okay, I know there's a better way for me to play this that is going to be the full immersion, thing. So
I get that.
Literally, as I got into the temple and started walking down, the the pathway to get to the idle head and everything. I'm like, all right, let me stop this because
Are you getting a little bit of latency or your graphics?
macro blocking,
macro
black
blocking,
crushes, right? A lot of
Yeah.
banding in the gradients
okay.
and stuff like that. Little
Yeah,
hitches
yeah,
here and
yeah.
there. I mean, you know,
You're like
there
it-
are many things that cloud streaming games are awesome for, right? There are some
Yeah.
that are a bit more difficult, right? And
Yep.
you know, we talk about it being a physics problem, which in part it is, right? It's a compute and access problem in part, which it is, but it's also a last mile problem, and
Yeah.
that's the toughest thing to fix. So I'm sure if those of you are technically inclined and you go to visit families for the holidays, it's like, oh, while you're here, my network is really slow. While you're here, can you reprogram these Lutron lights for us? And so that's when I'm like, oh yeah, let me go see what's going on with your router. Oh my God, you've never patched this thing. You have 160 addresses in your routing table, all of these
Yep.
things. And oh, by the way, you have all these devices that your coffee maker is sucking bandwidth. Like, shut it off, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, but games that are more or less latency sensitive, RTS games, stuff like that, fantastic. Right, to be able to jump in and play if you don't have an optimal way to play. Although I will say, I've been impressed with Netflix's implementation of games in cloud streaming, which of course they do on their TVs and stuff like that because they're not rendering them locally. The Netflix games you get on your phone, you're rendering them locally, so they're perfect, right? But they've done a really good job of selecting games that lend themselves well to that kind of.
What
of
are you playing
technology.
on that you're getting the streamed games on Netflix? 'Cause I use the LG smart functions and they don't exist on there.
Oh, I'm using a Fire Stick. And what's really cool is when you go and fire up a game on there, and again, you and I talked about the fact we are not fans of the touch controls. Like these work really, really great. Is when you are when you fire up a game on your smart TV, on Fire Stick, whatever, it brings up a QR code and you point your phone at it, and then it automatically goes,
nice.
oh, here are the controls for this game.
Wow.
And then, so as you're going through the menu system and everything, and all of a sudden, and when you get into the game, the controls change to match what you're playing with the on screen, right? They've done a really, really good job of hitting kind of both ends of this, right? The rendering in game side back to you, but also coming back to a separate, a separate, device
that works
address
if
and stuff like that.
You should, just for fun, like do that and then turn off your Bluetooth and see if it still works, and then turn off your Wi-Fi and see if it still works, if it goes over 5G. Though what I'm curious about is if they're doing a handshake so that you're talking directly to the Fire Stick from your phone, or if it's going out to the web. I'm going to guess it goes out to the web.
I think it goes out to the web because
which
the
will
only
definitely
way,
constrain what you can do with it.
Yeah, it would have to go out because I don't have my phone paired to those devices.
But if they were both on Wi-Fi,
But they're both on
it could
Wi-Fi.
do
I
a
still have to have a
discovery.
web server, right? It's because the QR code's pointing my phone to a URL, to an IP address rather.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it could pass its local IP address
Yeah,
over and then have your Fire Stick be like, hey, there you are.
That is very true. Kind of
wonder.
the same way when you transfer watching a YouTube video on your phone to your TV, it basically is connecting and unhooking from your phone. So now it's being driven from
Directly
there.
from the
Although
thing.
it
Yep.
gives you the ability to pause and stop and everything, but it frees your phone up.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I know what I'm going to be doing over the break. I'm
curious.
going to be messing around with the service and seeing what breaks and what doesn't. But what else am I getting ready to play? No, Family Home for the holidays, which is awesome. It's always the best. And doing a lot of 3D printing. And I'm 3D printing a cool ass Donkey Kong playfield that somebody had done, and I printed out all the different parts, and somebody then made a girder inspired frame for it. So it'll be this kind of 3D what is it like? What are those called? Those box frames? Right.
I don't know what they're called, but
I forget. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be doing that. And today I'm going to slide into the holidays doing something awesome on the Rewind show. I'm going to be playing Christmas Nights.
Oh yeah.
Nights into Dreams. If you've never played,
I should have
this,
guessed that.
right? I am going to make it the yearly game that I play on that program for as long as I'm going to be doing it, right? So Christmas
Nice.
Nights was a game that was given away for free by Sega to their customers if you filled out the registration card when you got your Saturn and sent it in. And maybe it was the Knights registration card. It was one of the two.
Yeah.
And so basically, they sent you this game where all of the assets in the game were winterized and Christmas-tized and all these things. And then it used the internal clock. So when it got to Christmas Eve, some of the assets would change. Christmas Day, the assets would change. On April 1st, you'd play as the villain, like all of these different things. And it's all Christmas music, and it's super cheery, and it's just the perfect game to slide into the holidays with. So
Maybe more of that kind of stuff that change. Like it suddenly makes me think of Costume Quest for some reason.
Yes.
But just like, holiday themed games.
exactly.
Yeah, they use the
Exactly.
clock to do something crazy.
So I'm just going to be able to
down for
kick
that.
back, smile, play some Christmas Nights, talk about its history, talk about where the franchise went, and then get people to play. So you can join me over on the AWS for Games channels on YouTube or Twitch. Let me see if I can pop that URL in here. Michael Wild says, "I love Nights and Christmas Nights."
And Christmas Nights.
It
Heck
was.
yeah.
It was.
I remember
awesome.
seeing Nights at E3. This is my age. I ran across Nights on the show floor at E3, and I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah, and
just kind of had my mind blown at the time.
yeah, and everyone was just like, "Oh, it's not." Mario 64. It's like, no, it's not. It's a timed race, basically, where you're picking up objects. It's more akin to a racing game, right? But you have all of this lateral movement or vertical movement. In the game, you have alternate pathing if you understand how it's constructed, and they have what's called the A life system, the artificial life system. Look at that! They were doing artificial intelligence back in 1996, but the
hype is real,
right? But the A life system, where all of the Nighttopians that inhabited your dream, depending on how you flew past them or if you collided with them, it would change their behavior and how they grew and kind of all this stuff.
If-then statements. They were
Yes.
amazing. If you're close, then we'll move toward you. It's artificial life.
You just reminded me of that scene in War Games where Lightman goes and talks to his two buddies, his nerd buddies, and he's like, what you need to do is find a backdoor into that system. You're giving away all of our secrets. Don't tell all of our secrets. Don't tell everyone it's all if-then statements. What's wrong with you, Mark?
Right.
You're giving away all of our dev secrets. What the hell's wrong with you, man?
You reminded me. I spent like an hour yesterday watching a friend of mine. There's a woman, Kelly McNeil, who's she goes by EDU Gamer Gal on Twitch and a couple other places, and she was streaming on Twitch and was showing me her Terraria game and then her Stardew Valley game, both of which she and a friend have poured amazing numbers of hours into. I was like,
Yep.
I've never seen anything like this before. This is amazing. It made me want to go play both of those things, but then I was like, that's like hundreds of hours of time you put into that to get that far, and I don't have, I'm not going to do that, but
No, I can't.
Super impressive. And both of those games, the fact that Stardew Valley is now like, what, 11 years old?
Is it that old?
I don't know. Something like that. And Terraria is also super
If
old.
somebody can beat me to
they just keep
finding
going
that
and
up, that's
going,
looking. When did Stardew Valley?
I don't know. It's been a while. And that guy
Let's
lives
see,
close
who's going
here.
to find it first? February 2016.
2016. Oh, okay. 8. So, young. 8.5.
And done
Wow.
by one person.
One guy.
The
Yep.
entire thing. Mac, Linux, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch,
amazing.
iOS. And I think they've said that it's close to like $1 billion franchise now or something. Like it's some
High five.
crazy thing.
Stardew Valley movie coming soon. No,
That's right.
maybe not.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome, though.
That would be amazing. Oh my goodness.
I was
So
hoping for a
insane.
secret level episode on, something like that. But
Secret level, yes.
I haven't watched any of those, but I was
I've
a
not
little sad
either.
to see the games they chose outside of Pac-Man. But even Pac-Man is like evil Pac-Man.
Yeah, well, apparently that's what they were saying was like the whatchamacallit, the new game that was shown at the Game Awards was kind of leaning into that dark.
Oh, it is kind of. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah,
Good
pretty
point.
cool. Well, look, I know we're way over time here. I'm going to share just one more quick story that popped up here of a buddy of mine, Tony over here at AWS. Hey, Tony, thank you. He sent me a link that says the Commodore 64 that launched 42 years ago is still being used in a donut shop in Indiana as a cash register with no sign of failing.
Oh, nice. Now I want a donut.
That exactly. And the return on investment there, fantastic. Freaking tastic. I'm actually going to drop the link in the
8-bit
chat.
for life.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Crazy, right? No sign of failing. Commodore 64, blah, blah, blah. Whereas apparently Donut Shop in the U.S. is still using Commodore 64 for business. I've seen that. It's like somebody, there was like a camp that was using like a Commodore VIC-20 to do registration stuff and still using it. It's like, if it's not broken,
If it works, it works.
don't fix it. Don't fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Boss Rush. Mark, are you going to be around next week to do?
Yeah, I should be around.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
at the
yeah.
very
Yeah.
least, you'll have me and Mark here to send you into 2025.
We'll talk about what we're playing. That'll be fun.
We will talk about what we're playing. I'll bring in some of my 3D printing projects maybe, and I can
That
pop
sounds
them
great.
up here on the workbench camera, and we can do
I like
that.
this plan.
Yeah, so that'll be
Boss
a lot
Rush
of fun.
Holiday Edition.
That's right. Yes. We'll put a little hat on our Boss Rush monster down there. The boss that's constantly rushing at us. So,
Nice.
Anyway, Mark, thank you so much. And
Cool.
thanks to Dean
Good to see you
and
as always.
Susan. Thanks to Susan as well. And thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for jumping
on
in.
Boss Rush. And
Bring your games next week. Tell us what you're doing.
and have an awesome, safe, healthy, happy, peaceful holiday for those that celebrate and those that don't.
Yep.
Take advantage of that downtime to just lean into
Yeah.
what's important. And we'll see you all next time on Boss Rush. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.